Once upon a time, 200 winters ago, nay, even 200 winters ago, there was a wicked and mischievous sprite. Now, on one day, this sprite was in an unusually good mood, filled with malicious delight. He set out creating a magical mirror. This mirror, which the sprite created, possessed a most curious power. When viewed in it, even the most beauteous thing would appear ugly, and an ugly thing would appear hideous. The wicked sprite, filled with mischief, decided to put his creation to use, and he flew around with it, gazing at everything through his mirror. "That's glorious fun," said he. The wicked sprite was filled with mirth, for everything he viewed appeared ugly through that glass. Eventually, he decided that he would like to look up on all creations, including terrible mirrors. And so he flew up to the sky, intending to look down on the uglified earth below. However, as he flew upwards to the sky, the mirror became slippery in his hands, and he dropped it down to the earth, where it shattered into 1,000,000 pieces and more. The shards of the cursed mirror were flown far, around the entire earth, but the power of the mirror was not broken. In fact, it did far more evil than even before. For each of the pieces retained the terrible power of the whole. Each piece fell to a different place, and if the piece fell in someone's eye, that person would have an eye for that which was evil. Some people even got a piece of the mirror in their hearts, and those hearts were those of the shards' victims became like lumps of ice. And now, we meet our hero, a girl named Gerda, and her young friend Kay. They were not brother and sister, but they cared for each other as if they were. These two children lived next to each other, and in the summer, before frost got the windows stuck shut, they could speak to each other from their opposing windows. In the gutter between these two windows, they had placed a box in which they grew the most beautiful roses. Now, one day, Gerda and Kay were tending to their roses. The clock in the church tower had just been striking 5, when Kay cried out, "Ow! I feel a sharp pain in my heart, and now something has got into my eye." It was one of those pieces of the magic mirror that had gotten in his eye, and poor Kay had gotten another right in his heart. "I say," said Kay, for now he was under the mirror's power, "that rose is cankered, and that one is crooked. After all, these roses are very ugly." And the boy then tore up both roses. And from then on, Kay had only an eye for evil, seeing only the worst in things and all people. He could imitate the manner of gait in anyone, all those things that were displeasing in them, and many said that he must be very clever, but it was the glass he had gotten in his eye and heart, which made him tease even little Gerda. And then winter came. Little Kay took delight in the snowflakes and said, "These are much better flowers, for they have no fault in them, save that they melt." Now when the snow melts, it is like white bees are swarming, and just as with honeybees, the white bees always choose a queen. This snow queen flies right at the center of the snowstorm on her sledge. Kay, upon seeing the great sledge, jumped aboard on the back. But the snow queen's sledge moved quickly, and soon it had left the village. Kay tried to say aloud the Lord's Prayer, but in all the poor, frightened boy could remember was his multiplication table. Sometime later, the sledge stopped, and Toe Snow Queen rose up. "We have traveled far," she said, "but it is very cold. Come under my bearskin." But Kay was still cold, so the Snow Queen kissed his forehead. Ah, it was colder than ice, and Kay's poor heart was almost a frozen lump. But in 1 second, Kay could no longer feel the cold. Then the Snow Queen kissed him again, and he forgot all about little Gerda and those he had left behind. "Now you will have no more kisses," said she, "or else I should kiss you to death." And Kay saw that she was very beautiful, with a face more clever than he could have imagined. And he told her that he could do sums in his head, even with fractions, and knew the number of square miles and people in many countries. She smiled as he talked, but it seemed to him as if he knew not what he was saying. It was not far enough. And the Snow Queen's sledge took them to her castle, far in the north. Now, after Kay was taken away from the Snow Queen, all pursued him dead, drowned in the river. Gerda, too, believed it, and wept many bitter tears, saying, "Kay is dead and gone." But the sun said, "This I don't believe." And the swallow said, "This I don't believe." And Gerda decided that she must know once and for all. "I will put on my red shoes and go to the river," said little Gerda, "and I will ask there." Is it true that you have taken my little playfellow? I will make you a present of my red shoes if you will give him back to me. It seems to her as if the blue waves nodded in some strange manner, and Gerda did as he had said, casting her pretty red shoes, the most valuable thing she owned, into the river. But the little waves bore them back immediately. Gerda, thinking that she had not thrown them far enough, stepped into the little boat by the river to cast her shoes in the water once more. But the little boat quickly bore Gerda away from the shoe. She was very frightened at first, but the little swallows flew over her head and said, "Here we are, here we are." "Perhaps the river will carry me to little Kay," said Gerda, as she became less sad. Soon, Gerda's boat reached land, and she stepped off it. She found herself on a road. She had been on the road for some time when out of the trees sprang a little robber girl with a knife. "Halt!" said the little girl, "and turn over all your things." Poor Gerda had nothing to give, and she told the robber girl so. "Very well," she replied. "Then you shall be my playmate and spend the rest of your days in my home with me." The little robber girl's home was a little clearing in the woods, where Gerda followed her. There, Gerda related to the girl all had happened to her, and how much she cared for little Kay. The robber girl, moved with sympathy, said to Gerda, "Well, my playmate, I have decided I will help you in finding the Snow Queen and little Kay." Gerda was overjoyed to hear this, and asked her new friend where the Snow Queen might be found. "She will be north of Finland," the little robber girl said, "for there is always snow and ice there." The two girls set out immediately, and after many, many miles of walking, they had reached the house of Finland. The little robber girl knew this woman, who gave them shelter and a warm meal. Then, taking the Finn woman aside, the little robber girl said, "Woman, I know that you have learned in the ways of magic. It is said that you can twist all the 4 winds together in a knot and let them out to spread sailors on their way. Can you not give little Gerda a potion that will give her the strength of 12 men, that she may defeat the Snow Queen?" "The strength of 12 men?" laughed the Finn woman. "Much good that would do her. No, it would not help in the slightest. I can give Gerda no more than that the power she already has. Can you not see how great this power is? The beasts and people of earth must help and serve her. This is why you helped her, and how she has gotten to within miles of her goal only on 2 of her bare feet. But she must not hear of this gift from us, for it lies within her heart, because she is sweet and an innocent child." And the little robber girl was moved by these words, but still she wondered what would face Gerda in the Snow Queen's icy palace. The Finn woman then told her, "'Tis true, little Kay is of the Snow Queen's, and he finds it much to his liking there. But this is because he has got a simpler splinter of glass as an eye and is in the heart. These must first be removed, or else he will never come back to mankind, and the Snow Queen will retain all power over him." Then the Finn woman sent them on their way to the Snow Queen's palace, where the little robber girl parted Gerda's company. Gerda journeyed into the palace herself to find her little friend Kay. But we have followed little Gerda's story for so long, we must take a moment to learn what had become of Kay after he was taken by the Snow Queen to her palace. Kay sat all the day long on a little island, a frozen lake, which the Snow Queen called the Mirror of Understanding. He was all blue and cold, but he did not feel it, for the Snow Queen had kissed away the cold. Kay's icy hostess has provided him with some pointed flat pieces of ice, which he dragged around into all sorts of shapes. Thinking this is the most important thing in the world, there was one shape which the boy wanted desperately to find, but it stubbornly eluded him. This was the word eternity, for the Snow Queen had told him. "If you can discover that figure, you shall be your own master, and I shall make you a present of the whole world and a new pair of skates." But the word still eluded little Kay. Now one day, the Snow Queen said to him, "Must I now go to the warm islands and look down the black cauldrons?" By which she meant the volcanoes of Vesuvius and Etna. "I will give them a fresh coating of white, for that is which ought to be. Besides, it is good for the oranges and grapes." Now, it was that very day that Gerda had come to the palace of the Snow Queen, and on an instant after the owner had left, Gerda came upon Kay on the little island. They crossed the frozen waters to him and embraced her friend, saying, "Sweet little Kay, have I found you at last?" But he sat quite still, benumbed and cold, Poor little Gerda shed burning tears which fell on Kay and went straight to his heart. They thawed the ice there and consumed a splinter of the looking glass. Hereupon Kay, too, burst into tears, and he cried so hard the silver mirror rolled out of his eye. Gerda, sweet little Gerda, he cried, what has become of us? It is so cold and empty here. The little pieces of ice danced for joy at his wake, and they now lay down exactly the letters that Snow King had bidden Kay to form. Now he was his own master, within the whole world and a new pair of skates thrown into the bargain. They took each other by the hand and went forth from that lonely place. And then, after long, long miles of walking, they reached home. As they sat down in their house, at last they could understand the words of the Bible. Unless ye become as ye little children, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. For there sat two grown-up persons, grown up, and yet children, children at least in heart. It was summertime, summer, glorious summer. The end.
Good job. That was the retelling of the story of the Snow Queen. Our next story is a familiar one, Jack and the Beanstalk.